Once you meet Joe, your life changes. You go in a different direction, and you'll remember that change for the rest of your life.
I can honestly say that this class was a high point of the semester for me. Your teaching style is both eloquent and effective, and I even found myself discussing it with my friends. So my father took this course in 1971 and suggested that I take it this year. And if you're still teaching in another 30 years, I'll give my children the same advice.
How do you describe Joe Elder? My feeling is that he's one of these people that, despite all evidence to the contrary, makes you believe that there's hope in the world. And right? But I asked Frank Conlon what I should say. Do you have any anecdotes? And Frank said that Joe Elder is the most misnamed person on the planet.
And, I was sitting on the guard having a cup of tea, and somebody came up to me, and an elderly Indian gentleman, and said, where are you from? What are you doing? And I started to tell him where I was from, and now I work in Wisconsin. I was telling him about my work and my research, and he stopped me and he said, University of Wisconsin? I said, well, yes, and blah, blah, blah. And he stopped me again. He said, well, you must know Joe Elder. And I said, well, yes, as a matter of fact, I work with him. And I again started to tell my story, but he stopped me and he started to talk about Joe. Oh, Joe is such an amazing person, and he had done so much for Benares, and the students that came from Wisconsin were so incredible, and it was just all good news, and it made me feel so proud to work with and to know Joe. When the gentleman stopped talking, I said, well, you'll be very pleased to hear Joe's actually coming to Benares next week. And he looked at me and he said, very hopefully, maybe you could introduce him to me.
So we are phenomenally lucky to have a sociologist who has taken these kinds of positions and provided for us a model of how academics can be smart, can have moral clarity, and don't have to hide in their offices.
His contribution to South Asian civilization, his contribution to teaching of courses, his contribution to produce students who can teach South Asian civilization, his contribution to work with his assistants and juniors like me to teach them how to teach. To watch him teach a course was a pleasure. Every time he had a seminar, he always called me to give a talk. And every talk I gave to his Indian civilization course ended up becoming a book later on. That was the kind of encouragement Joe gave to students and his juniors in the department. Joe was and is and will continue to be South Asian Studies Department. I hope and pray that he will never retire. Thanks a lot.